you for visiting the Africa Rising Cycling Podcast, where we share the big and most interesting cycling stories from across the continent of Africa and from around the world where African cyclists are racing and riding. Welcome to the Africa Rising Cycling Podcast. I'm so thrilled for today's episode. So, this young man that you're about to hear from reached out to me before the World Championships in Rwanda last year, just asking for help in getting to the World Championships and how to do some things. And I did a little deep dive into this young man, Neriah Meunier and from Senegal. And I'm like, what a fascinating young man. Has a super interesting history, loves cycling, and we get to hear from him today. So it's great to have you on the podcast, Neriah.
Thank you. Thank you for receiving me.
Can you give our listeners an introduction to you, when you started cycling, and why you love cycling?
I started cycling when I was 12 years old, I think. So I actually was born in Senegal in 2005. I moved to France when I was young. I grew up in France, actually, in the south of France, in Montpellier. And I tried a lot of different sports before going to cycling. I did football for a while. I did trials in track and fields. I even tried ice hockey for a moment. So, and yeah, I was always watching the Tour de France on the TV on the summer and dreaming to be a cyclist one day. And my father, I remember, bring me to a place, in those towns where you just have all the clubs of your town. And I saw this road bike, and I was like, yeah, I really want to do this. And I just signed up to the club, and yeah, I started cycling like this, and it became more and more serious years after years. And so here I am now.
Hey, Neriah, it's Jeremy. So, was there any cyclists you knew about at that point? You know, when you chose cycling, were there any heroes you had, or had you seen the Tour de France or something like that? Like, where did it come from?
Yeah, when I was watching the Tour de France, I think my favorite rider was always Alberto Contador. Was the the cyclist I was dreaming about seeing his attacks on the Tour or on the Vuelta, and yeah, the was just my hero when I was young.
That's fascinating. I think, Kim, we hear Alberto Contador so much from African riders, young African riders.
So just so you know, there was a rider when we worked in Rwanda, and he was on Team Rwanda. His name was Joseph Army, and he named his firstborn son Alberto Contador.
So, I mean, Neriah, looking at your pro cycling stats bio, you've got results from UCI national races over the last 5 years, and you're still a young rider. So it's great to see. But is there a race or a result about which you're the most proud so far in your career?
I would say obviously the nationals this year in Senegal was the result I was the proudest, because was a different race than the races in Europe, the atmosphere, and the fact that after the race I bring the jersey to my family's house. I took maybe 2 hours to take picture with every member of my family individually with the cup and the jersey. So it was just so different and such a great memory.
That's wonderful.
That's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. So you transitioned then from representing France to Senegal last year. What drove your decision to now represent Senegal?
So since I was young, so my mother is from Senegal. I grew up in France, but I always had the two cultures in my family. My mother made the effort to always learn to me the culture of Senegal and the past of Senegal. Each time we were going in holidays in Senegal, we were going to museum, or I was even I remember a trip to Gorée Islands. I don't know if you heard about that. It's an island close to Dakar, where the slaves were, and was a very emotional place. And I always felt as much Senegalese as French. And as soon as I started cycling, I think I was always dreaming of wearing the Senegal jersey of the national team. So that was something that I was thinking about for as long as I started cycling, and was just the good moment, I think, to make the choice.
Obviously, congratulations on winning it. I mean, it was a wonderful moment, and it's something Kim and I this year have been spending a lot of time on with various federations that don't have national champs, or if they have national champs, they haven't registered them with the UCI, which is obviously very counterintuitive. So it was incredible to see when Senegal's name popped up on the UCI calendar, on their national champs calendar, that it's going to take place. And obviously, winning that race for you, as you said, is an incredible moment. Can you just talk us through the race a little bit? You know, how long it was, what happened, and how it felt when you crossed that line and pulled on that jersey on the protocol?
Well, thank you first. Yeah, it was very special for me because it was the first time I bring my bike in Senegal. The first time even I trained on the roads in Senegal. Before I was doing a home trainer because my parents were scared for me to go outside riding. So,
Oh, wow.
um, but yeah, the race was really flat. We did a circuit on the Corniche of Dakar, just by the sea, and we went, I think, for 110 kilometers. There was a big bunch, which was surprising. We're 70 riders at the start,
Oh, wow,
and
fantastic.
yeah, it's something that we might not know because it's not really on social medias or anything. But there is a lot of cyclists in Senegal. It's not a lot of competitors, but a lot of cyclists, and so everyone was there to watch the race and to encourage us. And I went solo, I think, from 45K to go. So I managed my effort after with the power captor, and I knew I was gonna win since pretty far from the line. So, but it was still a very good moment. And each lap I had my family on the side cheering for me. So it was really cool.
Wonderful. And just give us a flavor of those 70 riders, because that's a big peloton for any national champs in Africa.
It was the junior and elite race in the same time as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you have like clubs? Were there clubs there looking at you, going, right, we need to stress this guy out a little bit?
Yeah, it was the Velo Club of City, the Ties, which was the most represented team in the race, and we went in breakaway quite early with four other riders, and there were two in the breakaway, and suddenly I think they stopped riding. The sport director asked them to stop to ride with me, and that's the moment I understood. Okay, there might be some teams against me today, but yeah, at the end I could attack and drop them, so it was fine.
Oh, that's so amazing. It's always challenging for the favorite to come back, whether like Adrian Niyonshuti, same thing happened to him in Rwanda. He was racing for, a world tour team, and every time he'd come back, all the clubs would race against him. They weren't racing to win, they were racing to make sure he didn't win. So I know sometimes that you can be a target, and it's true across the board. It's always challenging to be the national champ in your hometown if you're racing in Europe, which you are on a team, you're racing in Spain now. You're a young man, you're only 21. So what are your hopes, dreams, goals for the next 2 to 3 years?
Well, so yeah, I transitioned from last year. I was racing in France, and this year I went to Spain in well, Basque Country, we will say, because for some people it's very important to say. But
Very important.
yeah, so but yeah,
Good
the
work.
calendar here is very good for me. The mountains, and I had good result this year, and I really hope I can make it to approach him in the next 2 years, I would say, because I still have 1 year in under 23 next year. So really take that year to develop and aim for approach him in 2028.
Will be the first Senegalese rider on a pro team, right? Male or female. So that would be a huge moment. That number of 70 riders is that's fantastic to know that there was that kind of group in a national champs. We've not heard much about Senegal. It's a country. There are several countries that we come across where soccer just dominates so much, and cycling is kind of the poor cousin. but it's starting to change, and we're seeing that in West Africa a lot, where Ghana, Benin, Nigeria, there's definitely a movement towards getting cycling in better condition. You mentioned earlier that there's a lot of history, and you've learned history from some of the older riders. Can you give our listeners a sort of a flavor of Senegalese cycling from what you've learned so far?
Cycling in Senegal had a huge past. It was one of the country in Africa, I think, where cycling was the most developed in the 70s, in the 80s, with Tour de Senegal, which I think took place the first edition in the 70s. And there was as well another race which was called Boucle des Arachides. I don't know if you heard about that one. I think in English it's some kind of nuts, arachids,
Oh, wow.
and
No.
so they were passing in the fields. So they called the race like this. And yeah, it was then there was a few years where they did not organize Tour de Senegal, but it came back in 2000 to 2010. And yeah, if you see the riders that took part in the race, you can see there is a lot of European teams. So it was quite a big event. The last event, the last UCI event that took place in Senegal, we could see as well even local races. There was like 45 days of race in Senegal all the year. So it was a big sport in Senegal. I heard from the older cyclists that's a lot of crowds around the roads to cheer. But yeah, unfortunately, the last few years it went down a bit. The last edition of Tour de Senegal was in 2019, but you can see, for example, Lucas Kubic, who is now the top of cycling, was part of this tour. So it has
Oh, wow.
a big story. And yeah, I hope for the next years we can organize again this type of race.
Didier Meunier won an edition of the Tour of Senegal in
Why?
last
He
decade.
did.
Yeah.
Yes. Didier Meunier, he was one of the up and
Sorry,
coming
2019.
riders.
I apologize.
2019. Okay. Yeah, Didier was one of the up and coming young riders right as we were exiting Rwanda. So we left Rwanda in 2017, living there, but we kept working with Rwanda up until like 2019. And Didier actually was at the Colorado Classic here in 2018 and rode with Taylor Phinney. And Taylor Phinney was just blown away by his ability at the stage in Breckenridge, Colorado, because it was a climbing stage. So there you go. I know. I was just doing a little research on the history of Senegalese cycling. I'm like, holy cow! It was the place in West Africa for quite a while.
And a
Yeah.
shout out to our friend Dan Craven, who won it in 2018 as well, just looking at this results sheet here.
So, it's great that we're talking about all of these um, stories about Senegalese cycling, but I'm not hearing much about the women of Senegal. I mean, do you know, Neriah, if is there a women's program? Is there dedicated development of a women's team in Senegal? Have you heard anything? I'm just curious because, of course, as a woman, I'm always promoting women's cycling, and I see the success that the Burkina Faso women have had recently. They swept the podium at the recent GP Cotonou in Benin. So, do you know anything about women's cycling in your country?
Well, first, there was a women race in the national championship. So we have currently a national champion in women elite who was representing Senegal already in Rwanda in the world champ, and with a certified coach as well in Senegal. Um, but yeah, we have a program that was new this year, I think in May, with a partnership with a club of Le Boulou in France. So south of France team, led by Stéphane Roger, who was an older French rider and who I think was on the podium of Tour of Senegal a few years ago. And so yeah, he made a partnership with the club city of Thiès. And when I went to the nationals, I could already see the women with the bottles or jerseys and
Mhm.
bikes from this team. So it's evolving. I think it still needs a lot of help because it's not it's not there yet compared to the other nations of Africa, but it's on the right
Mhm.
way.
That's amazing. We'll dig out some information on them and put that in the show notes as well on that club.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. It's always wonderful when you see these connections between clubs and countries and the growing federations. So we have a relationship between Benin and a club in the UK that supplied kit and some funding for young riders. So it's wonderful to see. Obviously in France, there's such a great cycling tradition as well. So it's great to see clubs supporting that. Um, Talking internationally, I mean, there's a few big international events coming up on the horizon that hopefully you have your eyes on. Firstly, obviously the World Championships in Montreal in September, and then the African Continental Cycling Championships, which will probably be in October or November, but still to be decided, as always.
Mhm.
Do you have your eyes on these? Obviously, wearing that national champ jersey for Senegal, I imagine you do. But are these on your horizon, and are you preparing for them?
Yeah, of course. Those are the big goals, and that's mainly why did I choose to represent Senegal is to represent Senegal internationally. So on the World Championship, I don't know yet if I will be there because I'm waiting for the wild cards, same as last year, because Senegal had no UCI points before the nationals of this year. But yeah, the African champs are definitely a big objective for me, both the road race and the time trial.
And obviously, we can't discuss the course yet for the Africa Champs because we don't know which country it'll be.
Yeah,
But it'll be a great one to see Senegal represented at those for sure.
So, Neriah, we hear through the grapevine that you may be riding the Tour de l'Avenir. And what would it mean to you to race this epic U23 event? It's kind of it's where all the teams go to see the future of cyclists coming up through the system. And the Tour de l'Avenir has definitely brought some huge names to the forefront. So, should you get a invite to race at the Tour de l'Avenir, what would that mean to you?
it's huge because it's the biggest event of the year in under 23. It's we even call it the small Tour de France. So it's
Mhm.
huge level. The as well the route is crazy with crazy mountain stages. But I'm really hyped for this race. It's where I can show myself against the best riders in the world, and
Mhm.
that would be amazing.
That's going to be a pretty strong start list, I think, this year. If you see with all these development teams now and riders 19 and 20 getting picked up into World Tour and World Tour Devo teams, I think L'Avenir is becoming one of the most important races in the calendar for young riders.
Yeah, I was trying to find the results for that race on Pro Cycling Stats. I mean, didn't Toddy win that race? I mean, some of the big names, yeah. Maybe Isaac Del Toro.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah. Just another question off the top of my head. I'm assuming you watched the Tour de France, correct?
Yeah.
As much as you could watch. Um, so what do you think about young people like Paul Sextus or Isaac Del Toro? I know for us as an American, especially an American living out in the West, like we were cheering for Isaac, and we were very excited. But I'm sure as a French Senegalese, you were cheering for Paul Sexus. So, what do you think when you see those two young men? And do they inspire you? How do they inspire you?
Yeah, of course I was cheering for Paul because as well I've been racing against him a lot when I was in under 17 and under 19. So was special to see him at the top of the sport. And yeah, those riders, they inspire me a lot because it's such like I've been racing against those guys, and to see them at this level of the sport is just a proof that everyone can do it if you put the hard work. It's incredible, and I'm so hyped to see him beat Tadej one day.
France hasn't had a winner in a really long time. And yeah, Isaac won it in 2023, took youth, mountain, points, and GC. So I guess he was destined to end up third next to Toddy on the podium. So that's amazing. And I have no doubt Paul Sextus will win the Tour de France someday. I have no doubt.
I hope.
Super impressive. And Neriah, just to wrap up. We're trying to get our podcast out to lots of young riders across Africa, but men and women. If you look at your career to this point, and you're right at the beginning of hopefully 10, 15 years of pro cycling. What are the things that you think you've done that have helped you get to this point?
I was never scared to go outside of my home and leave my place. Was some difficult choice to live abroad, but it really helped me, and learned from different coaches from different culture of cycling as well. On the training side, I think now it's really easy to see everything you can do on the social medias. You can learn from everywhere how to train, how to eat properly, how to recover. So try to take as much information as possible and to adapt them to what you're doing on the bike and outside.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that has changed, especially for people who come from countries that cycling is not like it is in Europe.
And one of our rules always is make sure your helmet and your shoes are in your hand luggage. Very basic, but so important, I think.
Really important.
We just had this conversation with Jonathan. So Jonathan is 17 years old. He's the Rwandan junior mountain bike champion, and he's here in the US. He's been doing road racing, getting ready for the world championships. And that we just had this whole conversation. And he comes up to us, he goes, you should always take your shoes and your helmet and a kit in your carry-on. I'm like, yep, I raised a good one.
But Neriah, thank you so much for your time today. It's wonderful to talk to you and get to know you and Senegalese cycling. As I said, we'll share some of the links in on the show notes to your bio and pro cycling stats, and and obviously keep posting on social media because you're a great poster as well. So we'll always share that, and it's an
Yes.
important part of being a young cyclist is showing your work, showing your results. So you're doing well so far. But thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and thank you for all what you're doing for African cycling and all the visibility you bring to it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Africa Rising Cycling Podcast. If you like what you have heard, please do share our podcast with your friends and on social media. Leave us a review or even make a donation to Africa Rising Cycling. All of this will help us to continue to bring you fascinating stories about African cycling.
Come